Is there any drug, to your knowledge, and you're a psychiatrist with clinical practice, is there any drug that cures depression?
No. There's no drug that cures depression, and we don't know what depression is. We have no idea whether there is any brain state that corresponds to depression.
My brain is broken, literally, without medication. Like, it doesn't function properly like a normal human brain should. And so when you say, well, it's an escape route, it's not an escape route. If anything, getting on medication when you have, like, clinical depression, it helps you face your issues more, because depression is what distorts your reality more than anything.
That is what I think is happening when people take antidepressants for depression, that the antidepressants induce a slightly different state of mind, which basically obscures the underlying feelings or distracts people from their feelings temporarily, because there's a very large placebo effect as well that is operating in depression, which we know is well documented from trials.
Getting on, like, pharmaceutical medication, it's not an escape route whatsoever. Now, I agree with you on that argument if you're talking about, like, marijuana or heroin or coke or whatever. Like, any kind of, like, illicit drug is much more of an escape, yes.
So, I mean, are you saying that SSRIs are a bit like alcohol?
Absolutely.
They change the way you feel.
Absolutely. Antidepressants are mind-altering, brain and mind-altering drugs like alcohol, like cannabis, etc. That doesn't mean that the effects that they produce are exactly the same as the effects that alcohol produces, but in principle, they do the same thing. They change our mental states quite subtly in the case of many antidepressants, but nevertheless, they do produce these changes, particularly this characteristic emotional numbing.
So it says, in some cases, the connections in our brains aren't as strong as they should be, while sometimes the cells in our brain may have grown differently. In other cases, one or more of our neurons may send incorrect information through different areas of our brain. When our brain acts in such a way, we may experience the kind of biochemical trauma that can cause depression, even if we haven't lived through any kind of emotional, physical, or spiritual trauma in our lives. When different parts of our brains aren't communicating, chemical messengers called neurotransmitters are often involved. This is because neurotransmitters help make sure that different parts of our brains work well together. So again, I guess, like, calling it a chemical imbalance isn't quite accurate. It's more of a issue with neurotransmitters. But my point being, this is something wrong with your brain, how your brain is currently functioning.
So lots and lots of medical websites have told people that there's a problem in their brain chemistry historically. They have started to correct that over the last few years, some have corrected it since we published the paper on serotonin and depression. But the thing is, if you don't tell people this other explanation, that these drugs are altering your brain chemistry and thereby altering your normal mental states, then people will assume, I think, particularly after all the promotion that's come from the pharmaceutical industry, persuading people that depression was a chemical imbalance, that the drugs are targeting some underlying abnormality. So they're being fixed. So I think, yes, exactly. So I think that unless people are explicitly told that, no, we don't have evidence that this is what the drugs are doing, then that's what they will assume that they are doing.
We're not talking about loneliness or being sad. I'm talking about something very...
Well, no, that's connected to being depressed.
No, I'm talking about something very specific here. Clinical depression, okay? Not sadness, not loneliness, clinical depression.
But you see, instead of just depression, we're calling it sadness, we now have clinical depression. It's called word magic. Nothing new. It's pure word magic. Clinical. Everything is clinical. Clinical research, clinical findings, clinical social work, clinical psychology, clinical this, you add that word, boom. Nobody can touch you.